everybody, and welcome to another episode of the I-5 Corridors Traffic Report Remote Edition. Tyson Alger here, joined as always by Justin Myers. Justin, almost Happy New Year. How was your holidays, buddy?
Holidays were good. My wife and I we've perfected the 1-2 do-si-do of getting both families in on Christmas, which isn't always the easiest feat, but we've got a system that works. That more on that may be coming up a little bit later. But as for you, you are in where are you in Fort Lauderdale? Is that where you're
It's
at?
it's definitely Fort Lauderdale. It's like I keep wanting to tell people I'm in Miami, and like Will Smith's Miami has been stuck in my head all. I've yet to actually be to Miami. I've been here in Fort Lauderdale for the last 2 days. Technically, we went to Miami Gardens yesterday, which is where Hard Rock Stadium is. It's where the Ducks and Texas Tech Red Raiders did their team's media days. Fascinating football stadium, Justin. I can't remember the last time I went to a college football venue that had a Formula One track looping around the outside of it with like ski chairlifts, like going through the parking lot. Yeah, a little bit different than Autzen, but yeah. I'm at the Media Hotel here at Fort Lauderdale. Dan Lanning it just finished the coaches like final press conference, and they're kind of gearing up for tomorrow's kickoff.
So yeah, you're in sunny South Florida,
Mhm.
regardless of the city, in a media lounge, probably solid hospitality, I would imagine. And you are doing this podcast from a massage chair,
Yeah,
I am in bitter cold Portland, Oregon.
well, two things. One, the massage chair isn't turned on, um, and two, it was 41 degrees here this morning. Like I was not expecting that here in Florida. I think our high is supposed to be like 62 degrees, and like yeah, it's sunny and 62, but like in Portland, we were in like the mid 50s like a week or two ago. Like we're not living like the high life down here, Justin. Like this is work.
Yeah, clearly this is work. As I have been to many a hospitality room, I've been to many a media hotel. Yeah, definitely just grinding it out. Just getting pages and pages written.
I will tell you though, like this is a completely fine hospitality room. You know, they got some chairs, some games set up. They have a open bar for later, but it's different from the hospitality rooms that like we used to go to in our primes. Because I remember the very first one at the Rose Bowl I went to, like everyone was there for like a week, and you'd go down to the hospitality room at like 5 o'clock when everyone's done with their stories, and that place was shoulder to shoulder packed. Um, it's like a ghost town here. And I don't know if that's just the difference between like a Rose Bowl, which I've been to three of those now, and maybe other bowl games, or if this is kind of more of a product of it kind of seems like people don't really care about the bowl games until you get to like the final big ones.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you is like what is the feel down there? Because I mean, like you said, we've both covered like bowl games as in the traditional sense of not only media but fans would go down for a week. The team would have been there for a week, 10 days. What I saw, what the Ducks just flew in what 2 days ago? I saw
Yeah,
like
yeah, they got in. Got in on Monday night, and they had like the coming off the plane press conference sort of media thing. And then yesterday morning, they practiced at Barry University, which is kind of I had never heard of before. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then they got to the Hard Rock, and like that felt like your traditional kind of media day without actually like the media. Like I was just kind of like, it seems like local contingents traveled pretty well to this thing. Like you have a fair amount of like Oregon and Eugene media. It seemed like there was a fair amount of Texas Tech, but like I only saw like one or two national media members there
yeah.
yesterday, which was fascinating to me because like I do think that this is probably the best matchup in terms of like expected game. It's the quarterfinals. It's the Orange Bowl, which has traditionally been a pretty big bowl game. It's just I think the pattern of how the bowl games work now just isn't set up to kind of like build that momentum because like everyone here is talking about like hey like see you in 5 days in Atlanta like like it's you got to go from here to Atlanta and then potentially back here again. I think it's just like a lot to digest.
Yeah, because I mean, for fans that maybe don't remember, yeah, like the bowl game, it was usually coming off of a big long lull, right? And then the team would be there for, sometimes 2 weeks, at least a week, mostly like a week and a half. The media would be there. The fans would be there. Would be all these activities, right? You talked about the Rose Bowl. They're going to Disneyland, and then there's the Beef
The
Bowl,
beef
and then
bowl, yeah.
yeah, and then the two teams are all going to go to a Lakers game, and all of these festivities. And then they get their gift bag with their shopping spree. Well, now all the players get paid. They're probably on their own shopping sprees somewhere in South Florida, but not provided at all by the Orange Bowl. And the teams get in there 2 days before. It does have like more of just a road game or a neutral site game feel. And I mean, it makes me sad, but whatever. I'm done. I'm done fighting this fight. It's over. It's never like it feels like the postseason in college football, Tyson, is now going to be either this NFL style playoff, which we have, or really goofy bowl games where you get like four Pop Tarts out
Like
there
the
for
Pop
the
Tarts or
coin
Cheez
flip.
Its or the
Yeah,
mayonnaise bowl, yeah.
a bucket of fries dumped on a coach for the potato bowl. Like, and it's fun and lean into it, I guess. But it feels like the gap between the two is as wide as it's ever been. When you've got like the Penn State interim coach who took over and what they won like 5 games in a row, and he's crying. But first, we got to get the bad boy mowers grass clippings to dump on top of him as he's having an emotional moment post game versus where you are, which is, I'm sure, Dan Lanning and every other coach. This is a business trip. We're not here for festivities. We're here to win and move on. It feels like the two have such a separation now.
Well, are you in the camp of do you like that the bracket involves some of the premier bowl games, or like I've started to kind of get the vibe like through this week that like you need to have the playoffs and then you can have the bowl games because like this just it kind of just feels like the bowl game name has been slapped on here, and that was something that like we worried about with like the Rose Bowl, which is something that's had that like century of prestige, and like how is that going to be affected? And last year I thought the Rose Bowl felt largely similar to it has in past years, maybe just a more condensed version. um but like at media day yesterday I heard somebody like describe the feeling of this week. It's like the feeling of like the Penn State game week, but just with an added media day on top of it. Like it just seems very business like.
Yeah, I mean the Bulls as we knew them it's over, right? Like and I feel like at some point you're just going to have to rip the Band-Aid off. The only reason I think the Rose Bowl felt that way was because it was Oregon versus Ohio State, and you could
Yeah,
kind of squint your eyes and tilt your head, and be like, "Oh, that might feel like an old Rose Bowl. Didn't we do this before in 2009?" So it had kind of that little bit of like historical context, but other than that, yeah, like the the bowl games seem silly. So now, like, it feels like the new trend, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this. The new trends are that the home sites provide such a better atmosphere that maybe other than, I don't know, maybe you do the Final Four at a neutral site like you do in basketball. Maybe you just do college's Super Bowl, like the national championship game in a neutral site, but everything else may be going back to on campus home field advantage for the teams that earned it. Because I mean, it was like that, felt like that for Oregon. It's like, hey, congratulations, you're the number one team last year. You go to a neutral site game, whereas Ohio State's coming off of a home
right.
game, and Oregon this year gets that warm up game against JMU.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen like Dan Lanning like voice his opinion in favor of. He was saying that he believes this game should be played in Lubbock instead of like down here in Miami. And I would be in favor of basically like keep the playoff neutral site games to the Final Four like you had for like the last 10 years or so. Because like I do think like in that at least small contained atmosphere, you're allowed to kind of or you're able to create a little bit of that like bowl game nostalgia to it. But like we're 24 hours from kickoff and like they're still selling seats for this one. I heard they're still selling seats for the Rose Bowl right now. I've seen a fair amount of Oregon fans that have posted that they're here in Miami, but like when you think about it, it's like that's potentially 3 weeks of cross country trips that you're going to have to do. Texas Tech is a lot closer. Like it's going to be a big imbalance of Texas Tech fans. Like we might as well play this at a college stadium, like instead of Mario Cristobal's new home stadium, which it's a whole different thing to like get into. Like it's crazy looking at that stadium and thinking like this is like what Mario Cristobal traded Autzen for. Like it's a really cool thing, but it's just such a different vibe than what the college football atmosphere is in Oregon.
Well, and I think that's kind of where a lot of people are coming from with talking about like if you're going to make it a playoff game, then let's just do what college football does best, and that's a big time game at a home stadium. Like that's what college football does best. The bowls were great when it was one game because of all the stuff we talked about before. Here we go. Justin's going to talk about the secret sauce of college football again, but like, yeah, exactly. But like, you can make a quarterfinal game the Orange Bowl, but it's not. The Orange Bowl is because it's really cold in Notre Dame, and you get the Orange Bowl. So you leave Indiana for sunny Miami. You hang out there for a week. It's a vacation. Right now, it's a business trip. It's there may be a pretty good environment in terms of like Texas Tech's contingent because they're new to the playoff and they're kind of that young up and coming team, but it it's going to be nothing like what a home game would feel like. And if you're college football, you should do what you do best, which is play home games at big time stadiums. You will do what makes you the most money, which is slap a FedEx logo on everything and play it at an NFL stadium and see how much
Well,
corporate sponsorship you can get.
well, I think that's what ultimately this is gonna come down to is like, yeah, maybe like locally the hype doesn't feel like as big as it did, and maybe they're not selling tickets as fast as they did. But if they get the same ratings that they have in the past, like they're just going to keep like they're not going to change the format at least from like the major bowl game level until like TV ratings end up being impacted by it. Like that's the straw that stirs the drink in all this. So like as long as Oregon Texas Tech is a good game that people around the country tune into, I don't think they're going to mess with that formula a whole lot.
All right, let's chat about JMU a little bit. We haven't talked. You were traveling. There was Christmas. There was a lot of moving parts after JMU. This is the first time we have done the pod since that first round game at Autzen that you and I were both into. And Tyson, if you read the internet, Oregon's in trouble.
Do that.
Their
It's
defense
just
got absolutely cooked in the second half. They were playing all of their starters every snap.
it's the
Clearly, like if
stupidest
you
discussion of the season, Justin. Like what are we doing? Like Oregon scored touchdowns on all five of its first, I think, six possessions of the game. They had limited a playoff team to what was it, 3 points at halftime. And then like I went through the stats, and it's just like there was so many guys, like second and third string guys that played on defense in that second half, and it's just like you still, despite all of that, you still win by three scores. Nobody gets hurt. You move on comfortably to the next round. You don't have to put a lot on film. Like what are we doing? Like this wasn't like you played Montana State and Montana State outscored you in the second half. Like this was like I get that JMU, you can put an asterisk or whatever on their season, but like that was still deemed like an okay football team, and Oregon won by three scores to move on to the next round. Like I thought the post game discourse from that one was just nauseating.
I think Jeff Schwartz put this on Twitter or X or whatever you call it now. And I thought it was the most appropriate response, and that is that there is a certain faction of Oregon fans, and maybe just a certain faction of college football fans that absolutely just must live in misery. Like
Mhm.
they like this is why we can't have nice things because yeah, if you want like the way that the first half of that game was just completely dismissed as if it never happened and but look at that defense look at all those yards. It's like did you watch the first what was it 36-3
Yeah.
at one point and this is the other part of it that frustrates me is it's still that old college football mentality of you have to win big. Like the committee is done, right? You don't have to impress the committee anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Style
over.
points don't matter. Yeah.
the hats that they hung up are back on their heads, and they're back in their cushy offices in their big leather bound chairs. Like they are done for the year. All you have to do, win the game, stay healthy, move on to the next round. And I think that's hard for college football fans and maybe even Oregon fans to like accept that if you don't win impressively, because forever, our entire lives, if you didn't win a game like that with a big giant score or some kind of statistical anomaly, if you didn't win impressive, then it did hurt you. And now we're in a position where it doesn't. It does not hurt you
It's
in any
it
way, shape, or form.
I mean, everything in this sport has moved towards professionalism, except for the way that we discuss it. Because in the NFL, nobody's complaining about like scoring margin. In the NBA, if you come back from like a 15-point deficit and win in the final minutes, nobody's complaining about like how you did it. It's wins and losses. Like that's ultimately the goal, and like you don't have to style point it up. And it's just it's yeah.
It was a wild 10 days on the well, really like a wild 2 days, and everybody kind of chilled out for Christmas. But the internet was hot, and I think it was because there was not much else to talk about, and now moving forward, Oregon, like you said, relatively healthy going into this game. Can we just accept the fact like Evan Stewart's not going to play? He hasn't played all year. It's a bummer. I know there. I feel like there was a little gamesmanship in like, oh, questionable and
Yeah.
having him practice a little bit, but like the dude hasn't played all year long. So this Oregon team that is going to be playing tomorrow is essentially the same Oregon team that went to Penn State, it's the same Oregon team that went to Iowa,
Right.
the same Oregon team that's been playing all year long that has had one loss. So in terms of health and ready, like Oregon is sitting in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, this is they're having the bulk of their roster play that has won them all the games this year and kind of like fought through a lot of the adversity. The Evan Stewart thing, I think, has just been stupid. Like, I feel like they like because Lanning was annoyed when people were asking about it yesterday, and it's like you guys could have addressed this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then it's not a storyline here at the Orange Bowl, and it's they listed him as officially out for this game, and then somebody asked about that, and then Lanning, I think his quote was, there's been no change of status. We just do that to mess with you guys. And it's like, okay, cool, but like he's listed as out, and you can't change that. And last week he at least warmed up against JMU, so I don't know. I ultimately it's a guy who hasn't played a snap for them this season. And I think kind of the focus on that storyline is kind of just funny because like what you expect him after not playing all year to come in and make an impact in the Orange Bowl? I don't think so. But on the other hand, you do get DeCorian Moore coming back. You get Gary Brandt Jr. coming back. It looks like Jordan Davidson's healthy. Like the guys who Oregon has ridden with all season this year are in a good spot heading into this game. So like I still have a hard time getting a gauge for what I think is going to happen in this one. Like just frankly, I didn't watch enough Texas Tech this year other than kind of what we've been doing the last week or two to like catch up on them. But I at least think Oregon's in a position where they're used to the playoffs. Like the one thing that I would describe them as yesterday and today is just comfortable. Like it was just like it just felt they felt relaxed. They felt like they knew what they were getting into. There's no questions about like you had to play in the Big Ten championship game and now you have a bot. Like it's just like they know the lay of the land. So yeah, like I think they have a very good chance to compete like close to their best tomorrow.
The Texas Tech thing is interesting to me because I'm guilty of it as well. So I'm not standing, on my high horse and looking down upon the people, the peons of fans. But it's weird how like we kind of create magic with uniforms in college football.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Certain uniforms are supposed to play a certain way, and Oregon had to fight this for a long, long time. And it's like,
Still
oh,
still kind of is. Yeah.
Texas Tech is like, and I say this like not as a joke, but like Mike Leach is passed away. But we still look at Texas Tech like the old Mike Leach coach team that's going to put up a bunch of points. Where this is actually maybe one of the best defenses in the playoff. This is kind of like a grinded out type of team. This is not the Texas Tech of Mike Leach. This is not the Texas Tech that puts up a ton of points but can't defend anybody when Patrick Mahomes was their quarterback. Like, this is a team that's going to smack you in the mouth. But it's weird that we see those uniforms and we assume a certain thing.
I mean, I think I said on the radio yesterday that I was like, 45-38 Oregon. Like, no, okay. And I think that's like me looking at the uniforms. Like Texas Tech does have a very good offense, but they do have a quarterback who's limited right now. But I mean, watching their last game that they played, it's just like their front seven's ferocious. Like, I'm fascinated to see like how Oregon kind of responds to that. But yeah, like uniform wise, like this should be like a first to 50 game, and I don't think that's going to be the case. All right, this has to be a condensed version today because I have a couple events that I have to get to. So, one, give me your prediction, and two, just give me the Cliff Notes version of what's been bothering you over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. By the way, I like how you talked at the beginning of the pod about how chilly it is there in Miami, but you are in a t-shirt and you do have your sunglasses, you have your shades, perfectly
But
perched right there
it's a video
on your
podcast.
t-shirt.
It's just all about looks. It's
All right, prediction. Like I said, I think this game is in the 30s. I got 35-32 Oregon. I like Oregon by a field goal in this game, so I think this game's right there in the mid 30s. Here's what's grinded my gears. You are on the road. You are staying in a hotel, albeit probably a nice hotel. Why can't hotel coffee makers get their act together? Quite frankly. I talked about how during Christmas, my wife and we have perfected the kind of 1-2 step of getting to both families, and that involves staying at a hotel on Christmas Eve because my parents' house is no longer equipped to host everybody. So we stay at a hotel, and Christmas Eve, Tyson. Yeah, I got on the eggnog a little bit. You know what?
yeah,
I
it
got
happens. Yeah,
I got a little festive, a little
yeah,
too much holiday cheer. So
got nogged up.
when I wake up on Christmas morning, whew, your boy needs a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah,
All I need is a cup of coffee. I I don't understand why hotel coffee machines. The first one is going to be worthless, like because it's a Keurig. I have a Keurig at home. I am drinking my Keurig coffee right now. I use
like
a
you'd
Keurig.
think there would be a standard of especially for a Keurig, like
You would think, but for whatever reason, every hotel coffee machine that I used, and by the way, for all the people that say how disgusting that is, I don't care. I need coffee in the morning. It's a problem. It was Christmas morning. It's not like I could run to the Starbucks. Everything else was closed. I needed just 8 ounces of the good stuff before I could put on my game face and go attack Christmas. But the first one is always a waste. And then they always have like a decaf in there. Like why? Like why? We we need at least two regular cups for each person in the room. I need four pods, but they always throw a decaf in there. So I burned one because I didn't know how to use the coffee machine at first. Now I'm down to just 2 cups of coffee. Wife is going to want one as well, and like it got real nervous. So for hotel coffee machines, the fact that every single one of them is just a little bit different, and the first one is always worthless. That's what's grinding my gears.
it's between it's between the coffee and the TV channels that take so long to change. So, all right, we're going to wrap up there. I think that's nobody gets Orange Bowl preview and hotel reviews quite like the I-5 corridor Stratford Court does. Justin, thanks for beaming in. Thank you all for listening. Have a happy new year, and we'll be back. We won't take so long to come in and recap the Orange Bowl. I think that one's probably worth doing. All right, we'll see you guys all next week.